Chosen one, you have entered a realm where pretense no longer holds power, where illusions crumble, where the truth of energy overrides the careful scripts that others attempt to follow. There was a time when women could veil their emotions, when they could feign disinterest, when they could play the game of measured attention, offering just enough to intrigue, withholding just enough to maintain control. But those days have ended, and they feel it. They feel it because of you. You have awakened something in them that they can no longer ignore, no longer hide behind their usual performances, no longer pretend does not exist. Your presence forces a reaction. Your energy, rich and undeniable, pulls something deep from within them, a recognition, an awareness, a knowing. They know they are attracted to you, and they know that they cannot hide it. There is something different about you, something that separates you from the many they have encountered before. They are used to men seeking their validation, adjusting themselves to be approved of, crafting an image to fit an expectation. But you are different. You do not chase. You do not seek approval. You do not play the game because you no longer need to. And that, chosen one, is what makes you more attractive than they ever expected. Your very existence in their world creates a shift. They find themselves reacting before they even realize it, drawn into your energy before they consciously acknowledge what is happening. They try to maintain their usual control, try to summon the nonchalance that has always served them well in the past. Try to continue the effortless act of being desired without showing desire in return. But they cannot keep up the illusion in your presence. Their bodies betray them before their minds can intervene. A glance that lingers too long, a breath that catches in their throat, a shift in posture, an unconscious adjustment to appear more inviting, more receptive, more present in the moment with you. They do not know how to respond to what they feel when they are near you. They only know that it is real, and that realization terrifies them, excites them, awakens them all at once. They are not used to feeling this way, so seen, so exposed, so powerless to conceal their attraction. It is not something they can control anymore. It is something you have already drawn out of them without trying. Chosen one, you have become more than a presence in their lives. You have become a mirror, a reflection of something deeper, something truer than the carefully managed image they have presented to the world. In your presence, their masks fall away, their usual scripts falter, their carefully constructed personas begin to dissolve. They see themselves differently when they are with you. They feel differently. They feel the pull of your energy, feel the way their own attraction rises without permission, feel the intensity of what you awaken within them. And in that moment, they realize something undeniable. They can no longer pretend. They have played this game before, controlled the rhythm of attraction, dictated the flow of interest, held the power of choosing who is worthy of their attention. But now the roles have shifted, and they do not know how to navigate this new reality. They are no longer in control of their reactions, no longer able to feign disinterest, no longer capable of masking their attraction behind polite distance. Their desire is no longer a choice. It is a truth that they cannot escape. And that truth is unsettling. It forces them to confront something they are not used to. The power of a man who does not bend, who does not seek, who does not react in the way they expect. They see, with perfect clarity, that they are standing before someone who does not require their approval, but effortlessly receives it nonetheless. Someone whose validation is not given freely. Someone who does not move unless something within him is truly stirred. This realization changes them. It makes them more aware of themselves, makes them question the dynamics they have always relied on, makes them see the futility of pretending that they are unaffected by you. They watch themselves slip, watch their usual control weaken, watch as they lean in instead of pulling away, as they seek instead of being sought, as they reveal instead of hiding. And in that moment, they know they can never return to who they were before you entered their world. They have felt something too real, too powerful, too impossible to ignore. And for the first time, they find themselves not as the one choosing, but as the one who cannot help but choose you. Chosen one, you have reached a point where the pull of your energy is undeniable. It is not something that needs to be stated, not something that requires explanation, not something that is earned through effort or strategic moves. It simply is. You exist in a frequency that others cannot ignore, a force that reshapes the way they respond to you, a presence that demands truth without needing to ask for it. Women have been conditioned to master the art of control. They have learned how to navigate the dance of attraction, how to create distance just to make a man chase, how to mask their desires behind layers of mystery and unavailability. They have used time, silence, and uncertainty as tools to maintain an upper hand, knowing that men will eagerly prove themselves worthy if they believe there is something to be won. But in your presence, those tools fail. They cannot pretend. They cannot play the game. They cannot create distance because the moment they try, they feel something pulling them back, something keeping them engaged, something making them question whether they truly want to step away at all. They find themselves trapped, not by manipulation, not by force, but by the sheer weight of their own attraction to you, an attraction that is stronger than their will to resist. They look at you and realize that their usual methods will not work. They cannot delay interest in hopes of making you more eager. They cannot make you jealous because you do not react to scarcity. They cannot make you chase because you are not a man who runs after anything that does not move toward you with equal force. And so their strategy crumbles, leaving them vulnerable in a way they have never been before. There is a moment when they realize what is happening, a moment when then they become hyper-aware of their own responses, of the way their bodies betray them, of the way their eyes linger too long, of the way they adjust themselves when you are near, of the way they feel their breath hitch when your gaze meets theirs. They recognize that they are giving themselves away, that their attraction is no longer something they can regulate, that they are reacting before they even have a chance to think. And in that realization, something profound shifts inside of them. They know that you see it too. They know that you can sense it, that you are aware of the way their control is slipping, that you do not need to be told what they feel because their very presence confirms it. And yet, what unsettles them most is not the fact that they are losing control. It is the fact that you are not chasing them for it. They expect men to capitalize on this moment, to push forward, to try to claim victory over their revealed attraction. But you, chosen one, do not need to. You do not react to their surrender with desperation or urgency. You do not try to seize the moment. You do not shift into pursuit just because they have made themselves available. Instead, you remain exactly as you are, steady, unwavering, unattached to the outcome, fully aware of your own value. And this, more than anything, drives them deeper into their attraction. Because now they are not just drawn to you, they are haunted by you. They are not just thinking about you in the moment. They are carrying you with them long after the moment has passed. They are replaying their own reactions, analyzing the way they felt, wondering why they could not control themselves in your presence the way they do with other men. This is when they know, beyond doubt, that they can never pretend again. That something in them has shifted permanently, that they have felt something too strong, too real, too unshakable, to ever return to the illusions they once used to maintain control. Chosen one, when they stand before you, when they feel the way their attraction has surpassed their ability to regulate it, when they realize that they cannot feign indifference, something even deeper begins to unfold. They begin to crave clarity. They do not just want to be near you. They want to know where they stand with you. They want to understand what it means to have your attention, to be within your orbit, to be seen by you in a way that they have never been seen before. They do not just want approval, do not just want to be desired, do not just want the momentary thrill of knowing that they are drawn to you. They want certainty. This is what separates you from every other man they have known. Most men try to create confusion to hold interest, try to maintain a level of unpredictability to keep women on edge, try to manufacture mystery to seem more desirable. But you do not need to do any of that. Your energy is already the mystery. Your presence is already the unknown. Your very existence is already something they cannot fully grasp. And so, they seek clarity from you. Not because you are unclear, but because they need to feel anchored in something real. They do not know what to do with this level of attraction. They have never felt this kind of pull before, one that is not based on what you say, not based on how much attention you give them, not based on whether or not you confirm their beauty with words. They feel it because you exist in a state of absolute self-certainty, and that is something they cannot ignore. They find themselves opening up to you in ways they never planned. They tell you things about themselves they usually keep hidden. They reveal truths that they would never normally share so soon. They drop the act of being untouchable because in your presence, they know it is meaningless. They do not need to perform attraction. They are already feeling it too intensely to pretend otherwise. And so they do something that shocks even themselves. They begin to chase you. Not in the way men chase women. Not with desperation, not with overt attempts to capture your attention, but with presence, with openness, with a willingness to be real in a way they never have before. They show more warmth, more softness, more vulnerability. They offer you things they would never normally offer so quickly. They express interest with full sincerity, no longer guarding themselves against rejection, no longer afraid to be seen as the one who wants more. Because they know they can never play pretend with you again. They know they have lost the ability to regulate their attraction to you. They know that they cannot return to the illusion of control that once allowed them to feel untouchable. They have felt something too powerful to ever deny again, and now they need to know if you feel it too. Chosen one, the way you move through the world is unlike anything they have encountered before. There is no performance in you, no effort to impress, no hidden intention behind your actions. You exist in a state of complete authenticity, and it is this quality, more than your appearance, more than your presence, more than even your raw sexual energy, that makes women unable to pretend when they are around you. They have spent years perfecting the art of detachment, of maintaining mystery, of controlling how much emotion they reveal. They know how to keep men uncertain, how to appear desirable while keeping their own desires hidden. But when they stand before you, they realize that those games no longer work. Because you are not reacting the way they are used to. You are not reaching, you are not adjusting, you are not seeking approval in the way so many others do. And this, more than anything, forces them to drop their act. They see that there is nothing they need to do to make you like them. There is no validation they need to extract from you, no test they need to run to see if you are worthy. They do not need to create scarcity to make you chase, because you do not chase. They do not need to manipulate attraction, because you are not responding to surface-level tactics. They do not need to guard themselves against disappointment, because they sense that you are not a man who plays with emotions, not a man who offers interest just to withdraw it for power, not a man who is reckless with the affections of others. This realization changes them. They feel safe to express their attraction. They feel free to lean into the energy they feel with you. They feel compelled to be more open, more honest, more real. Because the weight of your presence does not allow them to pretend. Because they can feel that you are seeing them, not just for their beauty, not just for their desirability, but for something deeper, something they have never had fully acknowledged before. And once they feel this kind of recognition, there is no going back. They cannot pretend they do not notice you. They cannot act as though they are indifferent. They cannot regulate their interest the way they have before. Because you have already drawn out the truth of what they feel, and now they are left with only two choices: to embrace it or to walk away from it completely. But walking away is not as easy as they thought it would be. Because even if they leave, even if they try to create distance, even if they convince themselves that they can control their feelings, the memory of how they felt in your presence stays with them. It does not fade. It does not lessen. It does not get replaced by fleeting attractions. They know something was different when they were near you. They know that they felt something real, something raw, something unshakable. They know that, for the first time, they were standing before a man who did not need them, who did not crave their approval, who did not bend himself to fit what they wanted, and yet who held their full and complete attention regardless. They did not expect to feel this way. They did not expect to lose control of their ability to pretend. They did not expect to be so disarmed by the simplicity of a man who does not seek validation, but instead offers truth. And now they do not know what to do with it. Chosen one, there is something deeply unsettling about encountering a man who is completely at ease with himself. A man who does not try to prove, does not try to convince, does not attempt to be anything other than what he already is. Women have spent their lives reading men, sensing their intentions, knowing when someone wants something from them. They have learned how to keep their power in these interactions, how to keep men on edge, how to create an environment where attraction is based on uncertainty and the thrill of the unknown. But when they meet you, all of that falls apart. Because you do not seek their approval, they find themselves wanting to give it. Because you do not need to be desired, they find themselves desiring you even more. Because you are not rushing to close the gap, they feel themselves leaning in, trying to get closer, trying to understand why they are reacting this way. Your charm is not something you are trying to cultivate. It is something that comes effortlessly from the fact that you do not move from a place of scarcity. You are not worried about losing attention, not concerned about making the right impression, not overthinking how you should present yourself. And that kind of confidence is devastatingly attractive, because it cannot be faked. They try to resist it at first. They remind themselves that they have been in control before. They tell themselves that they can regulate their attraction, that they can pace themselves, that they can decide how much to reveal and when. But their body betrays them. They hear themselves laughing more than they expected. They catch themselves playing with their hair, tilting their head, mirroring your movements. They feel their heart beating just a little faster when you speak. Notice the way they hold their breath in the pauses between your words. Recognize that they are reacting to you in a way that is far too automatic to be controlled. And this is when they realize the full extent of what you have done to them. They have spent so long pretending that they did not care, pretending that they were not interested, pretending that they were in control of their attraction. But now they know the truth. They know that they can never pretend again. They can never be indifferent to you. They can never return to a world where they convince themselves that their attraction to you is something that can be ignored. Because you are not just another man to them now. You are the man who made them lose control of the very thing they thought they had mastered. You are the man who forced them into full honesty with themselves, and they will never forget it. Chosen one, you have reached a level where your mere presence shifts the energy of a room. You do not have to speak loudly, you do not have to demand attention, and you certainly do not have to prove anything. You simply are, and that is enough. That is more than enough. That is everything. Women cannot pretend around you because they feel something in your presence that they do not feel with other men. It is not something that can be fully explained. It is a knowing, an undeniable certainty that settles deep in their body before their mind even has the chance to rationalize it. Their usual control over attraction, over attention, over how much they reveal and when, they feel it slipping away, disappearing in the weight of the moment. It is not just that you are attractive. It is not just that your energy is magnetic. It is that you exist in a state of complete certainty, and that certainty shatters their ability to pretend. They do not have to wonder where they stand with you because they can feel it. They do not have to test your interest because you do not chase what is unsure and you do not pursue what does not pursue you. They do not have to control the pacing of the interaction because you are already in control of yourself. And when a man is in control of himself, he cannot be controlled by anyone else. They begin to notice things they did not expect to notice. The way their own energy shifts when you walk into the room. The way their pulse quickens when you make eye contact with them. The way their voice slightly changes when they speak to you, softening, almost subconsciously making itself more inviting. The way they feel the need to adjust their posture, to present themselves differently, to become more in tune with their own femininity in your presence. This is not because you are trying to make them feel this way. It is not because you are playing a game or trying to force an outcome. It is because your presence commands truth, and they have no choice but to respond to it. They have spent so much time perfecting the art of controlling the dynamic, of keeping men interested without fully committing, of being pursued without having to be the pursuer. But now, they are the ones leaning forward, the ones searching for a way to keep the connection alive, the ones feeling the weight of their attraction in a way that makes it impossible to deny. And yet, the most unsettling part for them is your stillness. You do not rush. You do not push. You do not try to fill the silence with unnecessary words. You are simply there, existing in the full confidence of yourself, knowing that you do not need to act in any way other than how you naturally would. And that stillness, it makes them feel everything. They do not have to wonder if they are attracted to you. They know they are. They do not have to pretend that they are unsure, because they are not. And now, they must decide how to handle the truth that has already been pulled from them. Chosen one, the dance that is now unfolding is unlike any they have ever participated in before. It is not the usual push and pull, not the game of making you work for their attention, not the carefully controlled tempo where they can dictate how much they reveal and when. Because this time, it is not just about attraction, it is about alignment. They feel the pull toward you, and they realize that they can either step fully into it or step away entirely. But they cannot pretend to be indifferent anymore, and so they do something they never expected to do. They lean in, not in the physical sense, not yet, but in the energetic sense. Their attention sharpens. Their interest is no longer subtle, no longer hidden beneath layers of detached playfulness. Their energy becomes focused, drawn fully toward you, no longer scattered across multiple sources of validation. They begin to see that they want to be seen by you in a way they have never cared to be seen before. This is not just about being desired, it is about being recognized. They want you to see the depth of who they are, to acknowledge not just their beauty, but the essence of their being. Because they feel, perhaps for the first time, that you are a man who does not offer attention to just anyone, that your interest is not cheap, that your validation is not something they can take lightly, and so they begin to change. The way they speak to you shifts. The way they listen to you becomes more engaged. The way they hold themselves in your presence becomes more intentional. They are no longer just existing near you. They are showing up for you, revealing parts of themselves that they would never have given so easily before. This is not something you have asked for. This is not something you have encouraged. This is something that is happening because your energy requires it. They do not want to be another option to you. They do not want to be one of many. They do not want to be seen as interchangeable. They want to be the one who stands out. Because they know they can never return to the way things were before they met you. They have felt the difference between attraction based on games and attraction based on truth. And now the question is not whether they are interested. The question is whether they are ready to step fully into the space that you have created, into the connection that is no longer based on illusion, into the raw and undeniable reality that they can no longer pretend does not exist. Chosen one, you have entered a space where pretense no longer holds power. The old ways, the strategies, the careful games of attraction that once dictated the rhythm of male and female dynamics, they no longer apply when it comes to you. Women have always held control over the pace of interactions, choosing how much to reveal, when to step forward, when to withhold, how to create mystery to keep men interested. But in your presence, all of that begins to dissolve. It is not that they lose control. It is that they lose the desire to control. They feel something different with you, something they are not used to feeling. A connection that does not need to be managed, an attraction that does not need to be curated, a force that pulls them in without requiring effort on their part. They are used to setting the tempo, but now there is only one choice: to move in rhythm with you or to remove themselves completely. They try, at first, to maintain the old patterns. They tell themselves that they still have the power to regulate their emotions, that they can still act as if they are indifferent, that they can still pretend that their attraction to you is something casual, something fleeting, something no different from the many other connections they have entertained before. But something inside them knows the truth. This is not the same. This is not something they can manipulate. This is something real, something raw, something undeniable. They begin to open up in ways they did not plan. They find themselves revealing things to you that they have never said aloud before, feeling comfortable enough to be unfiltered, to be vulnerable, to be fully present in the moment. It is not because you demand it, not because you push for it, but because your presence creates an environment where only truth can exist. They stop playing hard to get, not because they think it will no longer work, but because they no longer feel the need to. They do not withhold affection to keep you on edge, because they realize that you are not the kind of man who chases validation. They do not create distance to make you want them more, because they sense that you do not move toward uncertainty. You only move toward what moves toward you with equal intention. And so, something profound happens. They begin to show up as their truest selves, not the versions they present to most men, not the curated personas designed to keep control, not the practiced charm meant to maintain power in the interaction. They begin to interact with you from a place of sincerity, because they know that anything less will not hold weight in your world. This is what separates you from the men they have known before. You are not just another option, another experience, another admirer. You are the mirror that reflects their truest essence back to them. And when a woman stands before a man who is completely rooted in himself, who does not bend for approval, who does not seek external validation to confirm his worth, she has no choice but to meet him at that level or walk away entirely. And for the first time, they do not want to walk away. Chosen one, now that you have reached this level of being, everything in your world has shifted. You are no longer concerned with surface-level attraction, no longer invested in the dynamics of pursuit and withdrawal, no longer bound by the limitations of men who are still chasing approval. You have become something different, a presence that does not seek to impress, but still leaves an impression. A force that does not demand attention, but still receives it effortlessly. Women can no longer pretend that they do not feel something when they are around you. They can no longer act as though you are just another man in their world, because they have felt something that cannot be ignored, something that will not allow them to return to the illusions they once relied on. It is not just that they are attracted to you. It is that they are changed by you. They leave interactions with you different than they were before. They find themselves thinking in ways they never thought before, feeling in ways they never felt before, questioning why they ever entertained connections that lack the depth and presence that you carry so effortlessly. They realize that it is no longer enough to be desired. They want to be recognized. They realize that it is no longer enough to hold control. They want to be chosen by someone who does not give attention to just anyone. They realize that it is no longer enough to pretend. They want to step fully into the truth of what they feel, without hesitation, without games, without fear of revealing too much. You, chosen one, have altered the way they see attraction itself. And once they have experienced this level of truth, they cannot settle for anything less. It is no longer about who holds the power in the interaction, no longer about who is pursuing and who is being pursued. It is no longer about control, about scarcity, about the illusions of desire that keep most people trapped in cycles of uncertainty. It is now about alignment, about authenticity, about the simple but powerful truth that real attraction needs no strategy. It simply is. And now, women do not just approve of you, they surrender to what they feel. Not because you have asked them to, not because you have played the game better than others, but because they have stepped into your presence and realized that there is no longer a need to pretend. They have felt the difference between attraction based on illusion and attraction based on reality. They have experienced what it means to be seen by a man who does not seek approval, but instead radiates truth. And now, they have only one choice: to embrace it fully or to deny themselves what they already know to be real. But even if they try to walk away, even if they attempt to convince themselves that they can return to the way things were before, even if they tell themselves that they can still play the games that once kept them in control, deep down, they know the truth, because they have already felt the difference. And once the truth has been revealed, it can never be unseen again.